Happy April, everyone, and welcome to the new episode of Face the Sky. Again, just a reminder that this podcast is designed to pull into human potential by allowing us to think about certain things that we're not accustomed to and utilizing thoughts and concepts that may be foreign to us. And what I'm hoping to do in this podcast and what I'm hoping to do in these series of talks is to get you to start thinking about things in different ways and hopefully tap into whatever potential lies within you. We want to transform potential into movement, into talent, into actionable, observable traits that can benefit not only yourself and those around you. Now, as we find ourselves in these trying times, we're in the middle, as I'm recording this, we find ourselves in the middle of a pandemic. And so often we can give place to a variety, an entire spectrum of emotions. And those emotions can dictate our actions. Yes, it is wise to be cautious, to be careful about how you conduct yourself in these times, how to manage your money, how to manage your time with your family, how to conduct yourself in the midst of strangers, although there have been some directive from our government to practice social distancing, which I'm fully for. But there's one thing that I want to talk about very quickly for a few minutes that could get the better of us in many times. It has dictated many of our actions, certainly in our past, in the way we live, in the way we take risks, and that is fear. In today's podcast, I want to talk to you about fear. I want to talk specifically about the creativity of fear, the many forms that fear can take in the life of an individual, and how it can create illusions to confuse, to lead astray, and to cause one to doubt the very potential that lives within them. For you see, fear takes many forms. It can permeate even the strongest of minds. When circumstances arise, we can so easily give in to the call of fear. It is so easy to succumb to the feeling of helplessness and hopelessness and wanting to curl up in a fetal position mentally even, to the point where we denounce any ray of hope that will shine our way. You see, fear will cause us to even shun the appearance of hope. When we find hope coming towards us, and we find hope through people, we find hope through multiple avenues in our lives, if we are accustomed to a life of fear, to a life of being dictated and dominated by fear, you will miss the many boats of opportunity that we mentioned in the last episode. The universe conspires to give you an opportunity to break free. You see, when you're in your darkest moment, there's always some opportunity somewhere for you to escape the tragedy, the hurt, the pit of your current circumstance. When you find yourself in a place of darkness, in the deepest of depths, in the greatest part of despair in your life, when you find yourself in the deepest and darkest valley, there is always, at some point, an opportunity to escape, because the universe wants to give you a chance to escape. But when you have a life that has been dictated and dominated by just complete fear, you will resist the opportunities that will come towards you. You will resist the chances that the universe is trying to give to you to escape your current dilemma. You cannot live in a place of fear. I understand we're facing great issues and problems in these trying times. The economy is taking a hit. Our medical professionals, and we give them honor today because they're on the front lines and they're facing something unprecedented. Not many of us have faced a pandemic on this scale. Not many of us have faced job losses on this scale. Thinking back to 2007 and 2008, but the last time we've had such a great loss in our job numbers was back in the Great Depression. And people have reason to fear because they observe circumstances that are taking place in their lives. But we cannot allow fear to be too creative in our lives in a way that it can take many forms. We begin to make excuses because we're fearful. It conjures excuses. It steals our ability to have peace that is so necessary sometimes in these trying times. If there's anything that anyone needs in these times, it's peace of mind. If there's no peace of mind, people will make decisions that could harm themselves, that can harm their families. They will act erratically. This is why when you face circumstances, you don't want to be in a state of panic, because you can make decisions that are detrimental to your existence. And when fear enters the fray, when we have fear living inside of us, we can sacrifice our peace. We can sacrifice our ability to think clearly about things. And fear is very creative. And my advice to you, not advice, but my suggestion to you today is to not be a victim of fear. To not let fear become too creative in your mind to even conjure certain circumstances. We like to think in the future and think of how our life would be if we had this, for instance, virus. This virus is deadly. This pandemic is scaring many people, and it is natural for us to feel fearful, but we cannot let fear become a driving force in our lives. We cannot conduct our lives in fear. We understand that death is certainly a part of life. There's some things that we must accept in our existence today. That death and sickness is a part of life. Yes, individually, we do not want to be sick. We do not want to get to the place where we're sick and dying on a bed. But we must accept certain things about life, and that is that sickness, death, misfortune is a part of life. And many times we think to ourselves that there comes a time in our life when we think to ourselves that certain things can never happen to us. And when it does, we lose our minds. But if you can accept today the fact that sickness, loss, death is all a part of life, it can happen to anyone at any point. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, fat or skinny. It doesn't matter your physical attributes. It doesn't matter what you have in this life. It doesn't matter what you've done in this life. It doesn't matter if you think you've been good. It doesn't matter if you think you've been bad. It doesn't matter if you think you've been moral. It doesn't matter if you think you're immoral. It doesn't matter if you've been a criminal. It doesn't matter if you're not a criminal. It doesn't matter what you think of yourself. Time and chance, as the Bible tells us, happens to everyone. It overtakes everyone. And so it doesn't matter about whatever mental attributes or physical attributes that you have about yourself. It doesn't matter what you think. Misfortune hits any life. In the blink of an eye, you could have the best family, the best home, the best job. You could have the best of things. And in an instant, in a twist of faith, you could lose it. In a twist of fate, you can lose all that you have. And this is the reality of life. Things like this will happen. What I'm trying to get you to do is to recognize that living in fear is useless. Do not live in fear. Because whether or not you're fearful, things will happen to you. So why sacrifice your peace for something that could overcome you? Do not live a life dictated by fear. And I'm hoping that for those who will survive this pandemic, and many will survive, of course, for those who will survive the pandemic, I suggest to you that you live your life, you become fruitful, you pursue your dreams, you live your life. Live it with wisdom, be at peace with all men, live a life of peace, of fulfillment, to enhance the life of those around you, enhance the lives of those around you, enhance your own life. Be one that gives. Be one that is cognizant of what is happening around you. Do not be ignorant about facts around you. But at the same time, while you live your life, do not allow fear to seep in and to dictate your actions. Do not allow fear to manifest itself in creative ways where you begin to doubt your own abilities and doubt your own potential. If you wish to travel after this, travel. Do not live a life that is constricted by fear. Live a life full of wisdom, but do not be one that is constrained by fear. There are many that live a life of fear today. Many that have died with great abilities and talents. Many that have died with great possibilities within themselves. Many that have failed 100 times, that if they tried one more time, they could have been successful. We never know when fortune will take us. We never know when we will succeed at something that we've been trying so hard over years. It doesn't matter how long you've been trying. We never know when we'll be successful in certain endeavors. Time and chance favors those who try that extra time. Do not be fearful because things have gone awry or things have gone left instead of right. Now's not the time for you to succumb to a mindset of fear. This pandemic, though tragic, is a good shakeup for many in this world. To not take for granted your time with people in your lives, to not take for granted your possessions, to not take for granted your quality of life. Do not take anything for granted because you could lose it in an instant. But this is not an occasion for you to fear. It is a good shakeup. It is a good reminder of how fragile life is, how fleeting our lives are on this earth, how we are just passing through an experience, a pilgrimage. We're just passing through on this earth. And if we're lucky, we're given 70 years to experience this thing called life. Now is not the time for you to succumb to a life of fear, because fear will not enhance your life, it will destroy it. This is the Face the Sky podcast. I'm signing off, but remember, fear is a poison, a virus more worse, more tragic, more devastating than even the physical manifestation of viruses that we're facing even in this age. Do not allow fear to dictate your thoughts and your mind. Do not let it steal your passion. Do not let it steal your peace. Thank you for listening in to episode 2 of the Face the Sky podcast. Please take care of yourselves. Please take care of your families. And please ponder on the things that you have, the good things that are happening in your life, and cling to those. Do not be fearful. Be strong in mind, be strong in heart. Take care. Goodbye.